my Belt by Thousand Nation. How's everyone doing tonight? Alright, we are back with another video. This one is that chapter. It sounded weird coming out of my mouth. It is titled The Twisted Case of Joseph Connell. Connell? I'm not good with name pronunciations. I am very sorry. Yeah, we're going with that. Alright, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cuddle up with someone special. Let's get... this is probably going to be... I don't know how to... Let's just get weird. Mike's weird. I like Mike. Alright, let's get started.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video we're going to Delaware. New location, Claxon, yeehaw! So that's another place to cross off the list. Making progress. So this is the story of Joseph Connell and his Mrs. Olga. In September 2013, Joseph and Olga had been married for 3 whole months. Newlyweds, to be sure. But they wouldn't be married for much longer. And I'm not talking in the divorcey kind of way. See, Joey was a successful
widower kind of way?
Guy, and maybe some people weren't too keen on watching him be successful. But they would be keen to do something else. Especially when some of Joey's secrets would be uncovered. Let's give it a go, you and I, come on.
He's got this look about him. Like he smells shit, but he doesn't know where it's coming from. I mean, you see his face, right?
So let's do something just bananas, lads, off the wall. And begin at the beginning with the Connell family of Wilmington, Delaware. The Connells were a family of 5, until they weren't when the parents split. There were 3 Connell children. You got your John, the oldest, Joseph, Joey how you doing, as he liked to be called, in the middle, and Kelly, the youngest. They were a tight-knit family, but at the same time always fighting over one thing or another. They'd be the kind of family that would look out for each other in the way... it's like, you can't beat the shit out of my sibling. Only I can beat the shit out of them. They grew up on a sizable...
That's still love.
...piece of land, were adventurous, stunty, and active. Joey was the life of the party, a big happy head in him. But he could also be a bit of a shit. Obnoxious, but then not necessarily in a bad way. The kind of guy who's fun at parties, but you kind of leave him at the party. And Joey was doing pretty well for himself. He was the co-owner of C&S Auto Service, along with one of his friends named Christopher Rivers. And then Joey met Olga. She was Russian all the way from Siberia. So, easily impressed. Olga actually fit in with the Connells right away. They loved her. She was a
so easily impressed.
Sweetheart. Joey and Olga seemed like a great couple. See, after a while, it seemed like ding 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 wedding bells were in the air. And that's when the problems began. Problems like straight out of Tolkien. Straight out of Tolkien because it was all about a ring. It's like how Sauron, he made those rings for the lads, and they all turned into ring wraiths. It was like that, because there was kind of a dick move involved. See, Jackie, the matriarch of the Connell family, she had given, when she got married to the dad, they were separated, he'd given her, the wedding ring. And Jackie had given that wedding ring to her daughter Kelly, as in, hey, this, for when your own time to get married comes. The ring was worth $20,000, so makes Sauron's one ring look kind of like a ring pop. Jackie then went to Kelly's house and straight up just took the ring back and gave it to Joey. Joey was her favorite, so. Joey then had the diamonds removed and that fashioned into an engagement ring for Olga. He then, with the original ring, replaced the diamonds with zirconia and gave it back to Kelly. It's pretty easy to tell the difference between real diamonds and zirconia, so this didn't fool Kelly for a second.
Is a diamond. This Asher cut is a CZ.
And as you can imagine, that's just a whole dick move, that entire thing. It's fair to say Kelly would be pissed off when her mother gave her a ring for her special day and then just took it and gave it to her other son, you know. Joey and Olga then got married in a small ceremony on the US Virgin Islands. Very fancy, auto shop must have been doing well. Olga by this stage was the receptionist at the place. Kelly wasn't there, but sent some nasty text to Olga, and Olga, who had no idea about the whole ring kerfuffle. And so a nasty back and forth between Joey and Kelly began. A few weeks later, someone broke...
Oh my god. I mean, I'd be pissed as shit too if, like, I can't, no. A wedding ring that was given to the girl by the mom just to be taken away to give, no, that's some bullshit. And replaced with some cubical zirconians. No, sure. Like, at least place them with some, like, cheaper grade diamond, just like some shit ass glass. It's fucked up.
Broke into Joey and Olga's home. A fair bit of Olga's jewelry was stolen, family heirlooms, but Olga was wearing the engagement ring and that wasn't taken. Someone was pissed off. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who. Racking my brains. Joey called the police then and they started an investigation. Then, September 2013 came along, 3 months after the wedding, and shots rang out outside Joey and Olga's Wilmington condo. It was Olga's 39th birthday. On September 22nd, 2013, in the wee hours, talking to 911 calls started ringing in.
My neighbor is laying on the ground. She's hurt. She has blood all over her body.
Folk in the Paladin Club condos had heard some scary shit. Olga was lying outside the apartment, having been shot a few times. She was still alive, but wouldn't be for long. She would pass on the way to the hospital. In the bushes beside was Joey. He too had been shot. He'd been shot in the back of the head. It seemed like Olga and Joey had been returning home after a night on the town. Olga's key was still in the latch when they had been ambushed.
Newcastle County Police are trying to figure out who killed a well-known business owner and his new wife. It all happened late Saturday night in the Paladin Club apartments in Wilmington.
Witnesses told police they heard men shouting and then the gunshots outside this building in the Paladin Club apartments in the early hours of Sunday morning. 39-year-old Joe Connell and his wife Olga, married just a few months, killed outside on the front steps.
He treated me like I was his father. So it's very, very sad.
Gary Greenberg has known Joe since he was a kid. Gary takes his cars to Joe's business, CNS Auto Service on Route 202, when he needs repair work. Olga was the receptionist there. Gary doesn't know why someone would have wanted the couple dead.
No, definitely not random. Somebody had it in for him.
The investigation into the burglary was still ongoing, so it didn't take too much.
That's crazy. Was it the sister? Was it the sister?
Much time to start putting two and two together, except for this one thing. Olga still had a ring on her finger.
Wouldn't be the sister.
It seems like the people who'd called, 911, they weren't exactly too keen on, peeking out the window, having a goo, because they said they didn't see anything, but they heard about 20 shots fired, they heard 2 male voices, and they heard what sounded like some kind of fighting, scuffle, whatever. And later it would seem like there was 2 people, 2 males, who were waiting outside for the newlyweds to come home from, out eating, drinking. And so the investigation began. Police went to speak with Joey's mother and his stepfather to, see what they knew.
Is there anybody that might want to hurt him, ma'am?
I don't know. Was he complaining about having problems with anyone?
Terry, you tell him about the robbery. Oh, no.
No, somebody broke into their house.
No.
How long ago was that? Did they report it to the police? Yeah.
Funnily enough, Kelly just happened to be there at that exact moment.
We were fighting and he wasn't talking to me. And now he's dead.
And so Kelly, old Kelly, you know, she became the numero uno persona, the big cheese. Why she pissed, you know, over a ring that wasn't taken. Although then again, if the ring was taken, it'd be very obvious who was behind it. You be the judge, till I tell you more of the story, so.
He makes this up so awkward sometimes. It's hilarious. But he's got a point. If the ring was like the only thing missing, it would be barely evident who did it. Like, yeah. I didn't think about it though at the moment. Like I thought it was her. I was pretty sure it was. Pretty sure it was. Watch it still not be.
Roll footage.
Tell me about your brother.
Recently him and I were not talking. He hated me. My brother was very, very, very irate to me. From that moment on, you can read his text. From that moment on, my brother was pure evil to me, accusing me of sending numerous threatening texts to his wife. Are you guys listening to me or something?
No, we're just trying to get, like I said, we're just trying to get as much information as we can.
I didn't do that robbery. And I don't want to be pregnant to my brother.
No, I'm not saying that you did. Alright? Well, like I said, we're just trying to get as much information as we can.
Oh, she did.
Sorry, okay.
No, of course, we're not looking at you at all, you know. Kelly was happy to open up about the family feud, even show detectives some of the nasty texts
I died.
that had been sent between her and her brother. She wasn't trying to downplay or hide a thing, and she didn't make the police not want to look at her.
I dropped on the drive-in room and you guys said I had a couple questions and I was like, God, now I'm being accused of the murder. It's been a nightmare.
As for an alibi, Kelly said she was recovering from cancer treatment that day, but regardless it seemed like it had been done by two men, so. But still, she could have something to do with it. Police would speak with Kelly many times, but each time it seemed like they were getting nowhere. So either she was a great liar, or they needed to start looking at other possibilities. Possibilities like this had nothing to do with the family at all. And maybe something to do with Joey and Olga's private lives. Police started widening the net, learning a little bit more about the likable, gregarious, generous Joe, and they spoke with his business partner, Chris Rivers. He had a different view of Joe, though, than others did. For example, when the police went to speak with Chris, the first thing he said to the police was, what's Joe done now? Interesting, you know, what's he done before? Start there. When they asked him to come down to the station, this was the day of the murders, they had told him Joey and Olga had been killed.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your partner, your history with him, and what kind of stuff he's got himself tangled up in recently. Ultimately, when we're all said and done,
promise me you won't repeat it, Tom.
Yes.
They did tell him pretty quickly, though.
Oh my God.
In fact, Chris was supposed to meet them that night, but forgot the LID.
At 11, I went down there. It was around 10:30. But I didn't have my ID on me, so I had to drive all the way home.
Chris, you know, would tell the police about some rumors he had heard. Maybe Olga was in, you know, a bit of trouble. Olga had been married before, and her in-laws from that previous marriage were a bit, you know, that. Or maybe she was involved with the Russian mafia. After all, it seemed like the Connells had a lot of money. More than, you know, you would think their salaries would allow them. So they were either writing checks their ass couldn't cash, or there was something else here. Another source of income that was not strictly legal in the dictionary sense of the word, and maybe Joey had connections. See, a few years before he had met Olga, Joey had done some time in the slammer. See, he was at a bar one night, he got into a bar fight, fisticuffs. He walked out to his car, got a shotgun, was going to walk into the bar, probably do something stupid with it when police just happened to drive by. He did 7 years inside on that weapons charge. Maybe inside he'd made some friends. Maybe now that he was outside he hadn't forgotten them. Maybe he was using these friends to... yeah. That. It turned out he was using and selling steroids on the side. This was confirmed by both Kelly and Chris as a possible reason for the killings.
I would have to guess that robbery and this murder are connected by some drug people.
Finally, I wasn't there one day, and the other guy that works for me comes up to me and goes, "Joe's selling drugs out of the back of the shop." And I was like, "What?" So I searched the shop, found him, and said to him, "Get him out. I don't want it here. I'm not losing the frickin' place over this."
What was he selling?
Steroids.
Seem pretty convinced that that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably what it's about.
Why would you say that?
What else would it be about?
Now steroids, while illegal, it's not exactly Breaking Bad type stuff, but it was something. Some tips then led the police to a guy named Harry Cook. He worked around the place, popped in and out. It seemed this Harry was interested in becoming a partner in the auto store. He'd already invested over 100 grand into it, but wasn't seeing much in return. So maybe he wanted to be a partner, but Joey needed to be not a partner for that to happen. However, Harry Cook would be alibied out. He was in Pittsburgh at the time of the murders. So it seemed like there was no leads anywhere around Delaware, and it was around then that Chris gave this interview.
Figures you see somebody every day, 12 hours a day, more than you see your wife. So we were pretty much best friends.
When was the last thing you did together? When was the last time you saw him?
I was together Friday with him. And then Saturday I was supposed to meet him down with everybody at the bar. He's a great guy. There's nothing that he would ever do to make anybody angry, ever.
How'd they tell you he was killed?
They didn't at first. They asked me a bunch of questions, and I had no clue why I was there. And
they wouldn't tell you?
No.
Why'd you go with them?
I figured it had something to do with, I don't know. I just went. I've never been in trouble before. I just kind of went along with what they said.
What did they say?
They just said I need to come down to Newcastle County and talk to them. All kinds of questions. I don't remember exactly what they were asking, but pretty much everybody he knew, they were asking him. All kinds of questions.
Pretty much.
I was just asking questions about everybody he knew, our friends, every friend, but they never led to me to believe anything like that. Before you go any further, he said, "I guess you're wondering why you're here," and I said, "Yes," and they said, "Joe Connell and Olga were murdered last night at their house," and I just didn't believe it. I still don't believe it. I gave them the surveillance. I have surveillance at the house and the shop. They took all that. They have all that.
That before they told you he was killed?
No. After. I told them they could have it. They could come.
Did he tell you how he was killed?
No, they didn't tell me anything. "We found drugs in your building. Joe's dead. You're responsible."
For what? The drugs or his death?
The drugs.
Did you ever mess with steroids?
Does it look like I have?
I looked at the picture on Facebook. I said, that guy was Joe bulked up.
I'd rather not answer that question, but I'm
Did
sure.
he lift weights?
I'd rather not answer that question.
Now, your lawyer's already said apparently his partner is,
I'm not going to badmouth my best friend.
But your lawyer's already said apparently his partner was dabbling in steroids. I'm asked, did you know anything about him in steroids?
I'd rather not answer that.
Did you know that there were steroids in the building?
No. Absolutely not.
Did you do anything that night? Did you go out anywhere?
I was at work and then I went straight in.
The interview raised some eyebrows due to something he said. He said this.
What'd you guys do that night?
Went to bed.
Oh, you didn't go straight home.
I went to McDonald's and brought food home to her.
Now, where were you the night before?
At home. At work, to the shop, to home.
Yet in the police interview, he said this.
At 11, I went down there It was around, I guess it was around 10:30. But I didn't have my ID on me, so I had to drive all the way home.
He told the police he was supposed to meet them that night, but forgot his ID when he changed his story. Weird.
It's getting weird. Alright.
See, it turns out, right, that unlike what Chris was saying in that interview, that him and Joey were BFFs for lifesies.
He's a great guy. There's nothing that he would ever do to make anybody angry, ever.
Actually, behind Joey's back, Chris was bitching and moaning about him. All the time, non-stop. And was actually accusing him to others, again behind Joey's back, of embezzlement, of stealing from the company. Police went through the books and found the store was losing money despite a large income. But it wasn't Joe filling his pockets, it was Chris. Chris also had an opioid addiction. That's where the money was going, and the police said, hey, maybe we should look further into him.
When I asked about Rivers' involvement in any of this, he says, why would anyone who committed such a serious crime consent to talk to police without a lawyer, give them a DNA sample, and then let police search their business? He says that's just not something you would do if you had anything to hide.
Chris was home during the murder. This was confirmed via his home security, something Chris was very, very eager for the police to see. Though in the footage it seemed like he had ants in his pants that very night for some reason. On his phone, they learned a lot of the calls he had made that night had been deleted. The police undeleted them and found they were made to a certain Josh Bay, a customer at the auto shop and Chris's dealer. Now, Josh had a history, but his alibi, he was alibied out. He was working at the time of the shootings. So he didn't pull the trigger, but maybe he knew who did. Josh Bay had also made some calls that night to Dominique Benson and Aaron Thompson. So it looked like maybe Dominique and Aaron pulled the triggers. Josh asked them to, Chris asked him to. Chris hated Joe, but we're still not quite there yet.
Bro, you've never stressed me out this much, bro. Wow. But we're not there yet.
This seemed about right when Dominique and Aaron showed up to Josh's parole hearing. So what is the rest of the story? Well, Chris was in huge debt, and he was pissed off at Joey. So he hired his dealer to kill them. Josh then hired Dominique and Aaron to kill Joey and Olga. Olga needed to be gone as well in case Joey had a will. Because once again, you know where this is going. Chris was hoping to collect on the $1 million life insurance policy him and Joey had taken out on each other, you know, for the mortgage of the auto shop. So, yeah. The puzzle finally came together when Josh...
This must have been before I missed the dance.
Josh Bay agreed to a deal.
Did Chris ever call you and say, I changed my mind, I don't want to do this? No. I take it from the conversations we had that it's been just the opposite. Hurry up.
Real persistent.
He told the police that Chris had approached him about having the couple killed and had even provided a $5,000 down payment with a promise of $60,000 more once the murders were completed. Chris had been texting Joe all that night, asking him where he was and when he'd be home. Oh yeah, I'll join you for a beer. Uh-oh, I never showed. This was all information he relayed to Josh, who in turn passed it on. 1 year after the murders, Chris Rivers was charged with conspiracy and 2 counts of murder. He went on trial 19 months later.
Piece of shit.
That trial did not go well for Chris. The Chris who tried to use Joe's steroid abuse to cover his tracks hoped the family feud with Kerry would also cover his tracks. Chris was the one who had Josh break into the home to steal jewelry, thinking Kerry would get the blame. She did, but in the end, all would be revealed. Aaron Thompson got 2 life sentences. Dominique Benson was acquitted of murder charges, but got 5 years for conspiracy. Josh Bay got 5 years. Chris Rivers was sentenced to 2 life sentences in prison.
Yeah.
A man who portrayed himself as the grieving friend after his business partners were found dead will now spend the rest of his life in prison for their murders. It's a story our Delaware newsroom has been following for the past 3 years. Action News spoke to Christopher Rivers following the 2013 murders of Joseph and Olga Connell outside the Palladian Club condos in Edgemoor. Rivers told us how he couldn't imagine who would want to hurt his friends, but after a thorough investigation and a trial, a jury determined.
Who needs enemies with friends like that? I mean, damn, man. He played that, hey buddy, friend card like, damn. All over drugs. Don't do drugs, people. That's bad. You'll kill people, evidently. If you do, I guess at least have self-control. I don't fucking know. Why would you kill probably like one of your best friends and business partner? She said opioids, so probably pills and shit like that, right? See, I don't know about that hard shit. Like, the strongest thing I ever did was whenever I was younger. Like, I smoked weed. Like, if anything, I got fat and laughed. That's like the worst thing that would happen. Oh, people.
That Rivers, who owned CNS Auto Services with the Connells, murdered the couple with the help of 3 other people. Today, a judge sentenced him to 2 life sentences plus 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
And
like the
there you have it. Quite a convoluted plot of Chris trying to cover his tracks, right? Because he had an opioid addiction and was stealing money from the company, was in huge debt, so decided to kill his business partner who he bitched and moaned about. And he did.
The moment it hit me was the day of Joey's funeral. Olga was one of the best things that ever happened to Joe.
Now I just feel bad for thinking the sister did it too. Like, she looked guilty though. We was all thinking it. Don't point fingers at you. Okay, yeah, it's probably me. But that's fine. It's okay. It is what it is. I understand. But y'all gotta admit, she did look kind of guilty as shit. But that was genius of the pillhead, bro. Like, you gotta be on something, like, mixed with something, because he was a smart druggie. And I'm going to go ahead and say he had to be a druggie, because you're not going to kill someone if you're not. I'm sorry, you're not. You're not going to be like, oh, I dabble here and there, but I'm going to kill you because, I need my shit.
She was a wonderful woman, sophisticated, beautiful, intelligent, and most importantly, made Joe truly happy. And I believe they're still together. We weren't even speaking. I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I'm still proud to be his little sister. And I learned a lot of lessons from this, including, never go to sleep angry. Make up. Tell people you love them.
She's true, don't it?
Chris Rivers had it all planned out, and he got lucky. For a bit, because the shit came to land right back on his own doorstep. as it should.
That it did, and that it should. I feel so bad for the sister, though. We all thought it was you, lady. I'm sorry. I am. I'm sorry. Like, oh, never judge a book by its cover and whatnot. Yeah. It happens. But honestly, it wasn't even judging the book by the cover. We read the epilogue, and it still just, it looked shitty. It did, though. Like, he planned it out good. Like, he knew the sister was pissy about that. He made it look. It was on that good shit, I reckon. Smart and drugged out. Wasn't that smart, though, was he? Alright. I really enjoyed that one. That was a good video. That's a good video. I don't know who picked that. I don't know if it was me or you guys. It had to be you guys, because the ones I watched, because I picked, traumatized me. Yeah. Alright. So if you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. And thank you everyone who has been. I see it. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And to all my new subscribers, hello. How's everyone doing? What's up? Alright. Now, if you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, or deranged, think about subscribing. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. I was fuckered. Go all the way around. I feel bad for everyone involved. Drugs. Need to grip the crime dog.